Welcome to our premiere tonight. This is a segment of a live stream recording that took place over several hours. In this segment, we're going to be joined by Tonya Lambert and also Laurel of Candytheweeservicedog. We are talking about service dogs and travel tips. And these are travel tips that you can use not just with your service dog, but for your pet as well. This is part 2 of that live stream. Part 1, the link for that is down in the description box below. So grab your coffee, grab your iced tea, and hang out with us for a little while. We're doing this as the premiere so we can interact with you in chat and answer your questions. Now let's get back to the premiere. Oh, and one more thing. Before we get started, this would be a great time to hit like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Okay? Now let's get back to it. Very important. Well, we have Laurel with Candytheweeservicedog coming in, so bring her on in.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Tonya and Gayle. Thanks for letting me join you.
Thanks for joining us. So Tonya and I are talking about the things that you need to carry with you for the first time, especially that you have your service dog. So you go get the dog, and then what? So we've talked about brushes. Toys are also, you got to bring a toy or two.
Now, Care's
blanket.
You where you're getting ready to go, Gayle. Care's going to tell you not to give them a toy till Wednesday.
And that's important.
I did not listen to that because for Archer, in the hotel room, having that toy to play with helped me and him bond closer. But initially, they're not going to want you to give them toys or treats until Wednesday of the 5-day week.
Why is that?
I'm not exactly sure why. I think they think it would distract the dog. But I think it goes dog to dog. Now, if with Archer,
makes sense.
With Archer, it's not the toys that are the main distraction. I really can't stand spring and summer with Archer because his main distraction is flowers and plants. And so even when he's working, you got to call him back and I got to get on to him. And sometimes it's very public because he wants to sniff the flowers. You know, we go into Walmart and he heads straight for the fake flower display because he's got to smell it instead of working. So I think for Cares, it's not it's a dog to dog thing, but it could be a distraction to the dog. And I think that's why they do it.
And I will say that it is really important that you listen to your trainers.
I'm choreographing a routine. The last thing I need to worry about is.
So, hold on, I got some feedback coming from somewhere here.
Oh, that was me. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I thought it was on my end.
Laurel, what do you find most helpful to have with you when you work with Candy?
Well, basically, I had her before she ever became a service dog. But what I was going to say, when you're first with my friends that have gotten service dogs from organization, bring a T-shirt no matter what the weather is, because restaurants, stores, and all that, hotels even get cool. So a nice T-shirt would be nice for them. And if the dog doesn't mind, the kind with the hood on. And that, like I said, then at night they can sleep in that. If you're going into a store or a restaurant and it's rather cool. And then also when they lay down underneath those tables, they're so nasty. If they have the shirt on, then you can just take the shirt off and, kind of hand wash it. That's what because I'm telling you, they claim they clean under the table sometimes, but it was yucky. Gayle, if you remember when we went to IHOP, I did have to ask the waiter to clean under that. There was chunks of food. Candy wouldn't have messed with it, but I didn't want it near her, and so they cleaned that out for us real quick.
It was cold in there.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why I said Candy had her T-shirt on. Did you see? It had a hood, and it says, let me get it. It says, I love you more than tacos.
I remember that. She was so cute in that.
Yeah.
think
But
that
that kind of depends on your dog too, because with Tomlin, a T-shirt wouldn't have worked because Tomlin was a husky mix. So as part of that, he had a double fur coat, and
Candy
he was
does too.
always shedding. So I had to keep him brushed.
Yeah.
But
Hold on, let me
he
show
wouldn't
you.
wear a shirt.
Yeah, hold on, let me show you.
I brought with me from home, I went and bought some of those little terry cloth blankets that rolled up that they sell around autumn time. And I kept them with me before I got him so that my smell was on the blanket.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good
I
idea.
put that down for him to lay on so he could get used to my smell.
Yeah.
That also
That helps with the
helped with
bonding.
bond.
Yes. But here's Candy's
Good
hair.
idea.
I'm going the wrong way. See that?
Yes.
She's a double coated dog. A lot of people don't. That's like just going through it once. If I go through it 3 or 4 times, I have to pull. And I can have sometimes I joke. I said I can make a coat out of it. But yeah, she is. And she gets hot. But what I do is I keep. That's a good thing to keep on your scooter, Tonya. Is I keep a spray, one of those spray bottles with water, and I've chilled it so it stays pretty good. You can even throw in a couple ice cubes. But what I do is, if it's a hot day and I know she's getting warm and we're going in and out of a business and I don't want to take the shirt on enough, what I do is I lift the shirt off and I give her a mist underneath. It cools her down. But you have to get to that undercoat. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, that's why I do like that. I trained. That's one of the benefits of training your dog yourself. If they're young enough, even I've had friends that had, dogs that were adopted and they acclimated to being a service dog. Great, but yeah, you want to have a spray bottle. Like even sometimes she won't drink out of I've got the little portable. She will not drink out of that in a public area because because she's not supposed to eat. And so what I do is I give her a little squirt in the side of her mouth, and
Okay. To keep fluids in her.
yeah, to keep fluid in her. And like I said, if she's hot, I can mist her with it. Yeah, give a little mist on it. Yeah, we went to the zoo, and one of my friends, what I was talking about, he had a great Pyrenees. What is Archer?
English Labrador.
Yeah, that's what his was mixed with. They bred the dog like that. So the mother, the female's always supposed to be bigger than the male, so they don't get hurt. But they bred this dog, the 2 dogs together, so there'd be less shedding. But he was really getting hot, and he was a young dog, so he didn't know how to deal with it. So I said, let's go. They at our zoo, I don't know but they have those misting tents, and we went in there because he wouldn't let me spray him with the bottle or his owner. So we just walked through those misting tents, and it was like a cool mist, but it didn't get
they
you
have
wet.
those at Walt Disney World.
Yeah,
and
so that his dog didn't mind that, but like I said, his dog was only 18 months, so he just got done with all those different fear stages. So, but yeah, he was really hot.
I think that.
And I want to say something too, direct link to the people that are watching it. If you have something to add, make sure, go ahead and leave that comment and join the conversation because we would love to hear from you. At this time, we are talking about traveling with service dogs. So any suggestions, whether it's service dog or pet, or if you just want to say hi or anything else, go ahead and drop that and leave us the comment. Also, somebody said, yes, that they have clicked like on the stream. So thank you.
Gayle, I just want to let you know Diamond is on, and so is somebody else. Diamond's on here, and Adventures with Keto, Life Adventures and Keto's on. Right. So they both have joined us.
They are in the chat, and we appreciate that.
Yes.
I think what a lot of people don't understand with service dogs is you say, oh, you couldn't do that with my pet. But a service dog, they could start with 100 pups and only graduate 15 for service work.
We're in
Right.
that, yeah.
Have a certain
Yeah.
personality. My friends like to call Archer a cream puff because he's so mild-mannered. His best doggy pal is a 2-pound Chihuahua that bosses him around. So they've got to have a certain temperament to do service work. It's not
Right.
the same
Yeah,
temperament.
I think it's
And
important.
there is a temperament test that you can do if you're going out to get a puppy and you've never had a first service dog. I'm gonna tell you, number one, do not take a trainer. Trainers have a little bit of training on animal behavior, but they're mostly into knowing what will work, like training your dog, like potty training or training them to do agility and stuff, but they don't always know behavior. And so you want to take an animal behaviorist with you if you're going to look at a litter of pups. And people think, oh, I can't afford it. They
And
are
that's if you're
not,
going to
they're
train
not
your own
expensive.
pup.
A lot of them, well, they have service dogs themselves, a lot of behaviors, and they only charge $25 if you're in a 25-mile radius. So
Some do.
That
$25 to have them go to make sure there's certain things, like one of the main things people don't think is a big deal is you crumple up a piece of little, like notebook paper, and you throw it to them. They're supposed to show some interest. They may bat it, they may sniff it, and then when you get the paper and you keep throwing, and you have it land closer to where they come closer to you, and if they want to engage with you, they'll come and get on you.
Right.
The ones that
And that's
stand
if
off.
this is if you're going to train your service dog yourself and
Well,
just let everybody know.
Either that, or some organizations will let you get your own dog, and
Give it
they
to
will
them.
still train them. But like I said, regardless of which way you're doing it, you need to take an animal behaviorist. I've got 3 friends that are animal behaviorists. I got about 4 friends that are trainers. But the one person that is a animal behaviorist, he actually works for our Cincinnati Zoo. He's trained all kinds of animals. He's even worked with Fiona, the hippo, and stuff. So yeah, he's been with
Awesome.
Cincinnati Zoo for 30 years. But the only thing he said about Candy, because he only had a brief meeting with her, and it was online. It wasn't in person. So so it was different. And because he was saying, he was like, oh, like, hi, Candy. And so she barked, but it was a happy bark. It wasn't a angry bark. And I said, it's different if you were in person. She wouldn't do that. Because, she didn't bark at you when she met you. I even said, oh, there's...
No, she didn't.
Yeah, I said, there's Gayle and John. She got all wiggly and happy, but she didn't make noise. So he just was...
And she didn't come toward me.
Right.
She didn't bark. She stayed right there with you.
And she
which
looked
is
at me.
important.
What key thing about her is she looks always at me for direction. Like I said, I've had people when I'm on my scooter, Tonya, reach over and grab Candy and pick her up and shake her. Now, when they say that ADA doesn't want your dog to react, they're not saying the dog can't acknowledge what's going on. They don't want them in an aggressive way, so they can't growl, they can't try to bite, or they really
they can't do that.
They're not even supposed to bat their paw at you. So poor Candy's looking at me like, Mom, save me, this lady's, and she's just picking up, shaking her all over the place. Hey, Candy, come here.
I've had
Candy,
fighting Archer's lip or his mobility harness right in my hands. Or, come at me with their arms spread and grab him.
And that's why it's important to have that do not pet when you before you leave home. Get one of those. What else do you think? Oh, hi, Candy.
Now I'll show you what this person did. Okay, she doesn't mind. I mean, she may look scared, but she's not. She knows what I'm doing. She went, "Oh, this is such a cute dog." Oh,
yeah.
See,
no.
And she doesn't. Like, she might look scared or worried, but see, she didn't try to growl, bite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mommy's
And I
just playing
want
our
to, just for
game.
people who may be joining us who may
Yeah,
not know our backgrounds, we're talking
right,
about service dogs and things to take with you in the car
right,
if you're on a road trip when you first get your
yeah,
service dog. But I am doing a combination. My first service dog before he passed away, he was a
yeah,
combination of owner trained, plus we worked with a trainer. And
right,
personally, I suggest that everybody work with somebody, even if it's a
yeah,
friend or somebody you pay.
right.
But now I'm getting ready to get a service dog from an organization named
Mhm.
Cares, which is where Tonya over here got her service dog. And then
Right.
we have Candy. And you had friends who were trainers, but you basically did your owner training,
Yes.
right?
And yeah, and I'm the one that decided to make. I mean, they didn't know that I was. When I first got Candy, I got her as an ESA, an emotional support animal, and you do have to have a letter with that. And you do have one of the ADA says you have to have a mental disability, but it doesn't have to be an actual diagnosis. It has to be perceived as that you have this. So like, because I mean, for years
But that's
people have,
for an ESA.
right, but I mean, you if you don't have an actual diagnosis, then they'll think, oh well, you don't need that. But no, the doctor goes by
Hey,
what.
we've got Mel Mel in the house
Oh,
also.
hi
Hello,
Mel,
Mel
hi
Mel.
Mel. Yeah,
Hi.
but
Yeah,
what I
Archer.
was saying about the mental health ADA, I talked to the Department of Justice. They were telling me that like I said, it just has to be perceived based on what the doctor observes with you, what your family and friends say. Then they can say, oh yeah, those whatever behaviors or symptoms, um, you're probably this or that. So yeah, as long as you have a perceived mental disability, then you can have an ESA. And you do not have to pay a deposit in housing, and you can live in housing that does not allow animals. And then
But
I think you touched on it, Tonya. There is no breed restriction. So if you have a pit bull or a pit bull mix, even if your city or county bans them, they cannot do that with a service animal.
With a service
Uh,
dog. Now, emotional
Right.
support animals, um,
are
they're in a different category, so they don't have the same
But
rights
but not
as
in the
an
house. Not when it
ESA
comes to house. Not when it comes to housing.
when it comes with
HUD,
housing.
HUD would tell you that ESAs and service dogs are under the same umbrella when it comes to housing.
But
So
only housing. It used to be
right,
housing and flying, but they've changed that
but I
rule.
but I have a friend that lives in a public housing, and she does have a pit bull, but it's her ESA. So they tried to get her to where she, but even
Sure,
our
but you have
city
to have a
council,
letter like from your
right?
doctor and so
But
forth.
well, yeah, but that wasn't it. They weren't worried about the mental part. They were worried that because she had a pit bull. But like I said, even the city and the city council in the state even said that she had the right to have that animal with her. And that means that she could go in the hallways, elevators with this dog. So whether her neighbors liked it or not, she had the legal right to have him there. But yeah, pit bulls and pit bull mixes can be service dogs. And
Oh yeah.
there was an incident where we taped 10 dogs cutting candy, and 4 of them were pit bull mixes, and they were so sweet and docile. And Candy didn't bark, but she, like this was telling the one dog kind of with her body language, stayed back a little bit, and he looked like okay, he went down and showed his belly, so that means he was submitting to it. I thought that was so funny. This 85-pound dog is turning over for a 6-pound little dog.
that's
That's cute.
Yeah,
While we're at a
but I,
pause here, I want to remind everybody that we are accepting drop-in guests. So even if you want to come on
yeah,
for a minute and talk about your channel, we'll pause and put whatever we're talking about on hold so you can come in and join us and do
Right.
that. Just type in the chat box to let me know that you want the StreamYard link so you can come in and join us here.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tonya.
I wanted to say back to the traveling, and I already sent you one, but I have to have a very large service dog. Unlike Candy, who's very small, my Archer is 109 pounds. So if he's going to do something, regardless of what I want, I can't have that. So I would suggest using something called a martingale. It is half regular collar and half corrections collar. And I use that because I live in town. I have to have his tags clearly displayed. You cannot do that on a corrections collar. It will choke the dog. So have a martingale with you or some kind of collar so that you can have the tags displayed and that you can still control your dog.
Some agencies will require that you have that.
Oh, yeah.
And some trainers want you to have that.
Why is that?
Especially at the beginning.
Why
that's
is
because, well, they know how they want to train. And so you have to be consistent with that training.
Okay.
You know.
I'm going to step out. My anxiety's getting a little high. So,
okay.
I'll talk to you all.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in,
Tonya.
We appreciate it. We'll see you later.
Yeah, come back on later.
Okay. I want to show a picture of my Tomlin before he passed away in his gear because you may want to make sure that you have some of this if you're traveling for the first time, especially. It's not required that they wear gear, but it tells the dog that, hey, you're on duty. And it helps the world to know, too. So there's a small picture of Tomlin in his outfit there, and he has knocked off some of his patches when he was going through the brush. But that gives you an idea. And But I think the other thing that you need to take with you is like a little med kit, stuff like that. So,
I'm sorry, what was that again, Gayle?
I think something else that you need to take with you is a little med kit.
Oh, a med kit. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. They're doing so much drilling and pounding behind me. I'm sorry.
I hear some of that, yeah.
But so what did you put in yours?
In mine, I don't remember what all I put in. Alcohol pads, hydrogen peroxide.
Right.
We had something for an antidiarrheal. We had something for an allergic reaction. And we actually, one of the things that Tomlin did, I had driven from home here in Virginia to Alaska. So it's very different. Flowers and buttons, flowers and bushes and things like that. So we got him out of the car and let him go into the bushes so he could, take care of personal needs. He started sneezing his head off immediately. And so I didn't need to use the antihistamine, but we came pretty close to that. So, I went to the veterinarian and I'm like, we're traveling. You have to have a health certificate if you're going across into, a different country there.
Right.
And I told her, I'm traveling. What do I need to have with me? She wrote out a list. I made sure I got everything that was on that list. And my younger daughter she went to vet school for a semester, but she was already working in a vet's office. So she had a few years of experience with that. So I also went over it with her, did that first because we were on the phone one night, and then I talked to my vet. So, and we had this, I kept it, meant to bring it in here and forgot, but I
Yeah.
had a bright red bag. And
Oh,
that
okay.
way I could see it even in the
Right.
dark.
Yeah. Well,
And Tanya's suggesting in the chat, she says Benadryl is good for allergies for dogs, and also car sickness medicine may be a good idea depending on if your doggo gets car sick.
she also added that to take a 2-day supply of kibble in the emergency kit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think you should always take extra. And I
Yeah.
say this for people too, because one of the things that happened to us coming back from Alaska, but it could happen anytime, anywhere, is
Right.
we had car problems and the water pump suddenly went out on the van. So we got stuck out about literally 4 more days. I was glad we had extra food because this was a super small town near the border of Canada and Alaska, and there was nothing there. So having extra food for him really saved our hides, I will tell you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think that the brush, toys, the extra listen to me, the extra bandana that says do not pet, the ADA law, bright colored bag so you can put things in, extra food, the med kit. What else?
Well,
The blanket.
I was gonna say, take a copy of your dog's medical records. Like if they do have an allergy, then it's on there. If you have to go to a vet and you're out of town, like you said, they'll know that animal's medical history.
History.
Yeah. So yeah.
One thing that we were very, very fortunate with is I put Tomlin on the Banfield Wellness Plan, and this gave us access to any Banfield pet hospital across the country. And it also gave me, they added later, a hotline for vet access 24 hours a day.
That's good.
So that gave me a lot of security that I didn't have just putting them in the car and going. And we got in a situation, again, we're in Canada, and I don't mean to pick on Canada because this can happen anywhere.
Yeah, I know what you're
But
saying.
we had a dog actually attack Tomlin, really got a hold of his neck, and
Ooh.
finally, yeah, it took 3 of us.
Whoa. Now
We
that
got
was
separated.
scary.
It was terrifying. This was a big dog. Now Tomlin was at 90 pounds. This dog was bigger than that. The owner was able to get the dog off. I was able to get Tomlin off. Took 3 of us, which later I found out that getting in a dog fight is probably not a good idea, but it worked at the time, folks. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to get comments about that, but it worked at the time. But, the thing was, Tomlin was on his leash and the other one was off leash. But because I had, as you say, taken the medical records, because I had the health records, and because I had access to the vet, I was able to get information on what to do. And it all worked out. But that was one time when the dog actually had hold of my dog. So it got a little scary. So, and the other time it could have been a bad situation. I had Tomlin again on the leash, and 2 other times. One, we were in a state park in the facility, and a woman had her dog. It was on leash too, but it was one of those like 15, 20 feet retractables.
Yeah.
And she had it was at the end of the retractable. She's coming through. We're sitting. He's sitting next to me, kind of partly behind my leg. And we're on leash. We're sitting down. And the woman is not paying attention. She's talking to her friend and she's talking to her family. Her dog sees Tomlin, makes a beeline. It's a smaller dog, comes straight over to where we are, and it starts barking and growling and snapping at Tomlin. Well, one of the things, thank goodness, that service dogs are trained to do is the ignore command. So I told Tomlin to ignore, and he just looked at the dog and he just looked at me and he looked at the little dog again. And I could just about hear him thinking, that all you got? But, I think too, especially if you're a new service dog handler and you're going across the country, I think you need to be mentally prepared for those situations. Okay. And we got a couple of people. Sorgy Stories is here. And Sorgy Stories says, I don't know how many times extra food saved us on a trip. Can't imagine it with a doggie. Yeah, you've got to bring extras. Just, in some ways, having a dog is like having an extra toddler with you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what I tell people, because I get that comment since Candy's so small. Oh, I wish I could take my dog everywhere. Oh, it must be so much fun. I said, well, I actually opened up my bag that she has. I said, this is her backpack. All this stuff is for her. Oh, and so it's like having a baby. I said, yes, having a baby forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they just think it's just a fun time and don't realize how much work it takes to properly care for your service. There's some people that don't do the right thing, but I think I agree with Tonya. Shoes are a must, and you've got to start training them when they're young. There is so many. You go on YouTube. There's even books. Now, fortunately, Candy, she was in the classroom. They started putting clothes and shoes on her because they lived on a farm, and they didn't want her to get, burrs and all that kind of stuff. And so she loves clothes and shoes. But if you want to get your dog used to wearing shoes, the best thing is have them wear them around the house, and so they get used to walking around. And so then when you're going outside and you're loading in the car or you're going to a store, it just becomes second nature with them for the feet. Unfortunately, when my husband was on life support, I stayed at the hospital for 3 days, and the apartment manager is really attached to Candy, so he was nice enough to take care of her. So I wanted to come home, and the first night he played with her outside for a while, and he was going to bring her in the house. He said, she will not go past the foyer in your apartment. He says, I picked her up even and put her in the middle of the living, and she ran back to where the foyer is. I said, well, because he said, I took her shoes off, her clothes. I always told him he has to wipe her bum if she doesn't like anything hanging after she's had a BM. So I have baby wipes. She did all that. But he said, she won't get in. I said, did you wipe her feet off? Because sometimes depending on the weather, she's got some that are, not waterproof, so stuff goes through there. And he goes, no, I didn't wipe her feet. I said, wipe her feet, and then don't even say nothing, and she'll go. And he said, sure enough, that's what she, but she would not go past that entrance because she was so trained that, hey, my feet got to get wiped before I go into the house. And I was like, but I wasn't home. I mean, and so somebody else is in our home. I mean, she knew him well, but I thought that's neat thing. So shoes really, really are important.
They are.
Because didn't Tonya say something about that they could step on glass? I mean, even in grocery stores, like somebody could drop something, and they might come and clean it, but sometimes there's really really tiny particles, and she's double coat, like you said, so she's got that long hair between her toes. Now I do trim it, not in between, but what hangs out. that glass can stick on there. It can either get embedded in there or she can lick it and cut her tongue. So
Well,
yeah,
we were even told, especially if you go to the beach, to
yes.
take booties because the sand can get in between the paws. And something I'm realizing that I took that I forgot to mention is a little soft brush to get into his pads,
Oh
um,
yes,
to,
yes,
you know, but different
yes.
areas have different issues, or not issues, but different things you have to watch out for. Like
Right.
the beach, obviously, sand and sand particles,
Yeah,
but also, critters. You've got
yeah,
jellyfish and things at the beach. But in New
yeah,
Mexico, they have spurs, and those spurs
yes.
can get onto your dog's fur or in between the pads on the
My
paw.
God. Oh, that can cause serious problems.
Those
Yes.
are the hardest things to get off. Oh my gosh.
But it actually can endanger their health too. If they get burrowed down into their skin, I mean, you know, it's like if you
Absolutely.
it's like if you got a splinter and you didn't remove that splinter, it could get infected, and that's what those burrs do. They can get embedded, and not just on
Mhm.
their feet, their body, their under. I mean, it can be where they have to go to emergency care to get all those removed because it can cause serious health issues. I was going to ask you, who said that they had, it was either you were talking about if the dog has an allergic reaction. Now, what would you recommend on that?
Uh, Tanya was saying Benadryl.
Well,
I
I
think
know
that's what
Benadryl, but
I
I mean,
packed, but I don't
a what?
remember for sure.
Well,
Benadryl.
okay, but I mean, what if they're having like, I'm talking about like anaphylaxis kind of thing.
Um, I don't know. I didn't.
I
I
mean,
carry epinephrine for my allergies, so I'm assuming that I could call the vet and tell her
that's
in
what I'm
the
wondering. I'm going to ask my vet about that, about what to have if I did it, because
yeah.
a couple times we went from Cincinnati up to the outer parts of Columbus, and it's a lot of rural areas, and we stop at some of the stops, but sometimes they get too crowded, so we'll go a little ways up to a more quiet little. It's a rest stop, but it's more park uh, atmosphere. But I worry about something that. Oh, my
Uh
dog.
oh.
No, I hung up. That was a doc. It wasn't important. Anyways,
Well, if you need to get that, we
no, it's
can
just a
pause you.
reminder. It's a reminder for tomorrow. That's all.
Ah,
But yeah, that is something I always wondered that, if she were to, when she's pawing, because she's so small, the animals are not, even intimidated by her little bark. I mean, I just was wondering on that. I have to ask the vet about that, though. Yeah.
yeah. Always, 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 if in doubt, ask the vet. Whether
Yeah.
you're
Oh, yeah.
traveling, whether you're home, it, always
Oh,
ask.
I know what a good thing to take too with your new dog is take your waterless shampoo. So in case they get soiled, you can spritz them with that and then wipe them off with a paper towel and then a regular towel. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
sure as the world, if you plan on them not getting into something, they'll find a way.
oh yes, right. And
Yeah.
because they're a new service dog, people might think, oh, you're not doing a good job taking care of them or something. Yeah,
No, I
but
think
yeah,
especially, be prepared for the unexpected
yes.
because
And
you
like I
don't know your dog yet.
right, and
You're
like I
still
said,
bonding.
and whether we like it or not, we're ambassadors for service dogs. So if they see you not keeping care of your animal, or it looks like it's not being cared for, or your um, techniques of training them they don't like,
They don't like.
that's gonna be, that's their impression. And when they see other service dogs, that's what they're gonna look at. Oh, does this dog act like that too? Does that handler act like that also? So yeah, whether
And
we
I
like it,
actually had a woman, I was at the grocery store, I believe it was one time, and she was trying to tell me that, in her opinion, having a service dog was actually an act of abuse on the animal. And I just looked at her.
I do
And she's
remember you
like,
talking
dogs are
about this.
supposed to be able to be dogs. And I'm like, he gets his off leash time. And she's like, well, I just think it's wrong to force an animal to work. And I'm like, my dog's a husky mix. They are a working breed. That's what they do. But, you know, the dog, the benefits to the dog. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yes.
The dog gets, you have to have excellent medical care for your dog. If
Right.
you are traveling or not, it doesn't matter. So you've got to make sure that the dog stays healthy, and that's from his teeth to his tail, the whole thing. So regular vet care for the dog is a big thing. The dog also gets to go everywhere with you, just about, from going into the hospital
Right.
to going into the restaurant, grocery store. You know,
Right.
the dog's just never left at home, and he gets to go everywhere. And if you can't, for some reason, take care of the dog yourself, like let's say you wind up inpatient in a hospital, then the dog is going to be kept or watched by somebody that loves the dog and cares about him. They get high quality food to keep them healthy,
Right.
because a healthy dog can't work for the human. They get lots of toys, you know.
Yeah.
Off leash time, I always say that in some ways, Tomlin had me wrapped around his little paw, and
Yeah.
Candy probably does too.
Right.
With him, you know, I buy him all this stuff. I take care of him. I buy him toys, and he brings me sticks in return. Sticks
Yeah.
and stinky things.
Well, and then and they act like a dog. Like I said, the minute we get home, you know, Candy still. I say she's on call because if I need her to help me out, she's right there for me. But
Right.
as far as when we get home, she knows it's whatever she wants. And like sometimes I'll offer her something, maybe because you know I make her food. So after I change every 2 weeks because she gets bored, but I'll put her dinner down and she'll look at it, sniff it, walk away like I'm not eating that. And so then I have to go in the kitchen and make her something else to eat. But she's spoiled that way. But yeah, when she's at home, she acts goofy and runs around. And now that's the only time she does bark. Like she's tired of hearing all these builders, so she's done with barking at them. The first couple of days she did that, but it's been going on for a month from now. Like the other day, they got something heavy on the ceiling because they were jackhammering. She just looked up and like, oh, it's just them, and walked away. She didn't bother to bark. She'd have to be barking all the. But she acts like a dog. She acts goofy. She does her little zoomies and runs through the house. We play tug of war, and then sometimes we're playing fetch, right? With her
Right.
stepdad. We'll do it for a while, and then after a while, she wants me to go get it and come back with it and throw it again. She doesn't want to bring it to me. I'm going like, you want me? And she'll just wag her tail like, yeah, I want you to go get it. I don't want to fetch anymore, but I want to play the game. So yeah, they get to be dogs. Yes, they get to be dogs and have fun.
Something else too to help them have some time kind of for themselves, because
Yes.
they're like people, they need a break. And so something that I want to mention that I took on the trip with me is, here's Tomlin, and we're actually in South Dakota, and you see a cable. Now I did not keep Tomlin cabled, but when we are on a trip, I did have a 25-foot cable. You see him on it there.
Yeah.
That way I could stop at a rest area, and
Right.
he could go out in the grass and play and chase and, you know, do things like that. I just picked a picnic table that was away from everybody else, so
Right.
he would have some space. Or I'm in a van camper, so I was able to pull up next to a grassy area in the van camper, cable him to the van, and then he had a nice space. And, you know, I could rearrange the van and he could go in and out of the van as he
Right.
wanted to for a while. But that gave him some space so he could kind of have some personal time, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well, like when I went up to my friend up in Columbus, there was actually they came down and got me and my friend. So there were three of us with service dogs, the people that live up there, and then me and this other lady had service. And we spent the weekend up there, so we spent the night. We let the dogs do whatever they wanted. They wanted to play with each other, and then they'd get tired and go lay down. But yeah, like right now, Candy's. I don't know. Oh no, she's laying on the ground. But she'll go in the. But the minute she hears me, like if I do like a little dry cough, I want to. She will come running from that bed, and so even if she's napping in the bed, and I'm in the kitchen or wherever, she will make a beeline to me. So as I said, she's like on call. So she does whatever she wants. She does a funny thing where she lays on the back. I'll have to show you a picture later. And she lays upside down, and she looks like she's dead, and her chest is hardly moving. She did that even with the vet hospital after she had her back surgery, and they thought she stopped breathing, but they said, "Oh no, her heart rate, her breathing, everything's fine. She just sleeps." And I said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you that." But yeah, so they get to be dogs, but like you said, if you were getting sick at home, Tom would come over and do what he's supposed to do. If he's supposed to go get John or somebody, he'll work, even though he's playing. Like he's squeaking her
he
toys.
knows.
Yeah.
So, and that came out of the bond.
Yeah,
Your human animal bond there.
Yes.
Something that Tomlin did one day that just came out of the bond. I have horrific leg cramps due to a nerve disorder in my back, and
I know
I
that.
can't walk. My foot turns literally over on its side. I can't even tell you my horror movie move, we call it.
Yeah.
But before I started having the leg cramp, he somehow picked up on it, and so he came. He was laying in the living room floor, and I was in the living room too, but like a couch and an armchair distance away.
Okay.
He actually got up and came and got in his DPT position, which is deep pressure therapy there. Let me define that. And went ahead and got in that position before my leg actually started cramping. So even though he was not paying attention to me, he knew. And so he came over.
Right. Well, when you brought up a topic, they say that little dogs can't do deep pressure, but
yeah, they can.
They just can't do it in such a broad, like if you're having a panic attack and that big old dog lays on your whole body, it can calm you down pretty fast. But Candy can literally lay on my chest, her 6 pounds, and it feels like a heavy brick laying there, but it calms me down when I'm having the anxiety attacks, or just even if my heart rate gets wacko like it did in the doctor's office. But she can do that. And when you're talking about those leg cramps, I get those so bad. And again, it's with my spine. And then I never knew you could have a cramp and a spasm in that same muscle. And what she will do, like if it's my left leg, she will get up there, and you need bread. That's what she does with her paws. She takes and presses really hard. I mean, normally I wouldn't like that feeling because it's so sharp, but by her doing that, it makes that and releases that tension in that muscle. And if both legs are done, she'll do one leg and cross over to the other leg and go back and forth until that happens. But yes, she like I said, she's kneading bread when she does that. But yeah, I get those cramps. I understand that. And like you said, Candy learned that on her own. I didn't train, but I did, shape it into a task. So when the dog does it, you can take certain natural
To bring the
ability,
behavior out.
right, and to make it a task so that they'll do it. They know, hey, when I do that, mom's going to give me a treat or a belly rub or play with the toy. She really loves praise more than food or, the toys. She does love treats, don't get me wrong, but she's
Sure.
more willing to work for praise. If I pick her up and say, oh, you're such a good girl, she loves that. So, yeah.
Yeah,
But
praise, toys. Tomlin, he just liked having loving.
yeah. Now, how old was Tomlin when he started doing this for you on the natural?
Well, Tomlin we got as a puppy, and we worked with several trainers. We worked with one specifically on potty training, and then we had two other trainers that worked with us. So, as far as him noticing things with me, I would say I had I've got it. I have to math on this, so hold on.
Okay.
I got to think when I had the surgery and started having the back issue that caused the leg cramps. So I'm going to say within probably 6 months or so after having surgery that the dog really started picking up on this.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked, because when I got Candy, like I said, originally she was just going to be an ESA, but she started alerting to my neuropathy. Mine's from my spine. I don't have diabetes, okay? But when sometimes that numbness comes on so fast, and I don't always feel it coming on, and my leg will go out from underneath me if I'm standing. And I was at the zoo with my friend. At that time, my scooter wasn't working, so we were taking the time walking to the zoo, and I'd sit and rest. But I got up to walk, and I have Candy on a, what do you call it? What do you call the leash?
Harness leash.
No, the leash that, hands-free leash is what I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
Hands-free, gotcha.
So she's on this.
Those are wonderful.
But she started nose bumping whichever leg or sometimes both. And my friend said, Candy's doing something, weird. And sure enough, that's what she was telling me, that, hey, you need to go sit down. And sure enough, so now that I shake that into a test. So now she even sometimes decides if it's coming on really fast enough, she'll not just nose bump. She will jump on my leg and tap me. And she doesn't do a bark, but she kind of makes like a whimper sound, like like she's crying. And so that means I need to go sit down before I fall down. But yeah, but she did that after a few months, because originally she was just the first thing that I trained for was my anxiety and panic attack. And so that's why she was a service dog for that one specific task. Like I said, these other things came along, the neuropathy. Now she knows with my blood pressure and all that. It happened in the doctor's office, and the doctor was so impressed. My pain management team, I'm in there a whole hour. So they check my vitals in the beginning, right? Well, so we're sitting there. Candy gets off the scooter and comes and gets on my lap, and she's tapping me, and that's telling me, hey, there's something going on. It could be the blood pressure going up. It could be going down. It could be my heart rate going crazy. And this particular day, because some of the messes I think do weird things to me. So anyways, my heart rate got up to over 200. That's like what an athlete. Yeah, well, that's what an athlete has. When they're like these marathon people, their heart rate gets that high. But that wasn't good for me. And then my blood pressure, I don't remember how high it is. But my normal blood pressure is like 90 over 60 or 85 over 50. So I have really low blood pressure. And so when you say, oh, it's 120 over 80, well, that's high for me. But this was outrageous. My heart rate, then they checked my oxygen level had went down, and they were showing that she didn't panic, but she got down, got up, and she wouldn't stop tapping me until I paid attention. And then what she does to help with when my heart rate is going up, she will lay on where my heart is on my left side, and her little weight helps, calm things down. Now, if my blood pressure is dropping, she'll tap me, and I can call the doctor and say, hey, I feel like I'm gonna pass out because my blood pressure is going down. And so, yes, and then they decide whether I need
Scary too.
But what I'm saying is she learned that on her own, Gayle. I didn't teach her that. So I don't even know what she senses before that happens. And that's the same with the...
yeah, see, I don't know what he was, if there was chemical changes in my body or what, because, like I said, this is a nerve issue. And once we realized he was doing it, then we did things to help bring that behavior out. There's actually two things that he just picked up that we didn't train him to do, because you really can't train a dog to pick these things up. That comes out of his ability and your bond.
Yes, exactly.
You can teach him how to respond to certain situations. Like, for example, if I'd had a seizure and I was laying on the floor, then he knew to do the DPT and start barking his head off. Or if we're at home, he knew to do his DPT, and if I didn't respond, then he'd go get somebody. But on the cramps, he just picked that up. The other thing that he did, I have severe asthma. So I get, with my asthma, a lot of times I start sliding downhill, and it's kind of gradual, and I don't realize how sick I am. So I don't pick up on the symptoms. And at night, sometimes I'll be wheezing, and I don't realize. It gets to the point where I realize it and wake up. But I would start wheezing, and I would wake up with a nose in my face. And that was Tomlin putting his nose in my face, or he would nudge me, and then I'd wake up and realize, oh, I'm starting to wheeze. And I think that maybe it was because he could hear that whistle noise before I knew that was going on.
They have excellent hearing. Now Candy, again, I have to have her in the bed, and she's got to be touching me with some part of her body, be it her back, her paw, some part of her body's got to touch me. If I roll over, she's going to come closer. And that is because I have a hiatal hernia, and so I can aspirate on food. I sleep at a 45-degree angle, so that's practically sitting up. But even then, I can still have it. And again, like you said about the wheezing, with me, I know when I was awake and I start to feel that, it's like I faintly and clearing my throat, doggone. I'm trying, and she wakes up and starts tapping me. She gets in my face, and I'm sleep. Sometimes I'm heavy sleeping. She'll start tapping. If I don't respond, she'll start barking. If I don't, I take it back. First she taps. If I don't respond, she starts. I trained her to do this because when you want them to alert you have a deep sleep, you have to have them do something you don't like. I don't like a dog licking my face. So she'll lick my mouth, my nose, eyes, ear, any opening, and she'll keep doing that. And if I don't respond, then she taps, licks, and then barks intermittently until I wake up. So she does all those things. And like I said, I hate getting licked in the face, but if it's going to save my life, I'd rather have to go wash my face than,
It's like,
Well, because I could drown on that food. You
Yes, you
literally
can.
because it gets in your lungs where it doesn't belong. Even say you don't die from it, you can get pneumonia from it because anything that doesn't belong in your lungs.
Aspiration pneumonia,
Yeah,
yes.
right. And so that's why I said she learned that on her own about, like I said, I've noticed when I wake and that's happened, I hear that, I'm just going, and then I realize, hey, I either drink cold water or that's the only time I drink pop and it's either Sprite or 7-Up. And that helps get any gas that's causing that acid reflux to come
You
up.
know,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
I didn't need Tomlin to alert me to the asthma issues at all during
Right.
the day. Mostly though, like it was when I was asleep, but I
Right.
never had any problem. Like if we were, if we were laying down in the bed and I was napping or something, I never had any problems at all with Tomlin finding a way to touch me because I'm going to share this picture. There we are in,
Oh,
but
and
there
I
we are
love
in my
that
lounge
face.
chair, and he takes up
Oh,
the old chair. So, and it's
how
kind of
did
like
you get?
with a bed. He took up
How
the
did you?
whole thing.
Oh, how did you get him to turn his head like that?
He John was taking the picture, so he
Oh,
probably said something
Candy
to him.
loves the camera. That's probably what it. He looks so cute in that picture. How old
Thank
was he
you.
in that picture?
Um, let's see. That was taken before I had shoulder surgery. We were practicing because one of the things with Tomlin is if I'm in a chair and I have a seizure, he comes and he lays this way
Oh,
on me.
yes.
And with
Gotcha.
shoulder surgery, he just absolutely could not do that. So we were practicing him just being on my lap itself.
Right.
So I had shoulder surgery October of 2019, and this would have been probably a month or so before that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um, so it was, we just kind of trained him a little differently on the DPT because of that. Because when you
Yeah.
have shoulder surgery, you're down for
Oh,
months
yeah.
with
Yeah.
the shoulder. And he knew that and he adjusted to that, no problems. But it also made it that much more important to have him
Yeah.
because I drop things anyway because my hands shake. And we talked before at that
Yeah.
with
The
him,
nerve.
he recognized the sound of something hitting the floor. So he knew, for example, if I dropped my prescription, he recognized that sound and he could be 2 rooms away and in he would come and he would pick it
Right.
up for me. And that for me, that retrieval was invaluable,
Yeah.
especially after I had the nerve problem in my back and I had surgery, because sometimes what would happen is I would feel fire going down both legs and instantly my
I
leg would
got that.
cramp. And if I was holding anything at the time, I dropped it because I
Yeah.
had to grab onto a table or a chair or whatever to keep from hitting the
Right.
floor.
Right.
And I actually did that. I was speaking in a church one day, wrapping up and was going into the altar call, and all of a sudden I feel this heat, that fire feeling. If anybody's ever had a
Oh,
nerve
I
issue,
have that feeling. Yeah, it's horrible.
and I thought when I had that fire, I was like, "This is not good." So I I'm preaching, okay? I'm doing this ladies workshop, and I just reached over when that fire happened down both legs, and I went to grab the stool, and it just goes over. So both of us went over, and that was a time that I really wished that I had had the dog with me. I was able to pop up like immediately, thank goodness, but it would have been very, very good to to have had him
Yeah.
at home. It was
Yeah.
no problem, but
Right.
so in fact,
Yeah.
one of the things that he was trying to do was to go get somebody, and service dogs are very, very smart. The ones who aren't smart or can't do the service dog duties, they actually weed out of the programs. And when we worked with the trainer, he was like, we're not going to guarantee, but we're going to do our best. So he was very, very smart, and he could figure out problems sometimes on his own. So what happened to me one night, I was in the kitchen. It wasn't really long after surgery on my back. I would say probably I was kind of relearning how to walk. So it was at the tail end of that period. And it was the first time I'd really had the fire go down the legs. And all of a sudden, my muscles seized up. And I couldn't get up out of the floor. And I was hurting like you would not believe. If you can imagine how bad Charlie horses are, combined with that fire from the nerve, oh my gosh.
That's what I get.
Legs. It was awful. And
I understand that. Yeah.
Tomlin came running in, saw me in the floor, did what he was trained to do. That wasn't working. So then he went to try to wake up my husband. But it's the middle of the night. My husband's asleep. He thinks the dog just needs to go out. So he tells the dog, no, lay back down. Well, he didn't hear me kind of yelling for him because I wasn't able to yell like really loudly because I was in this position. Tomlin came back to me. He again does what he was supposed to do. Again, this is still not working because I'm physically unable. Your dog does its thing, you do your thing. And I was not able to do my thing. So he goes running in back into the bedroom. John's still not getting up. And he's a sound sleeper. He has to sleep with a CPAP. He's very, very sound, and it's hard to wake him up. And Tomlin came out of the bedroom, and he looked at me. He didn't come to me this time. He looked at me, but he turned and he threw himself on the door to Stellarpiper's room, Stellarpiper being my oldest daughter, dived against the door, and he jumps up on the bed, and he just starts walking all over her and pouncing, and he's like, you're getting up. It didn't work with Dad. You are getting up. And so he did his thing back and forth. And then, of course, Stellar saw me in the floor, and she's like, oh my gosh, because she also figured you need to get up because it's like 3:00 in the morning,
Right.
But nobody had trained him to go from person A to person B, the dog figured that out on his own. Yeah. He saw what was supposed to happen not working, and he just turned around and he just looked at the door and he looked at me and he just burst through it. And of course, the sound of the slamming door hitting against the wall, that did wake up my husband. So you recognize that wasn't right. But, service dogs have to be very, very smart and figure things like that out.
Well, the trainers and the behaviorists that I talked to, they call that intelligent disobedience. In other words, you wouldn't normally let him run from room to room like that. But he decided to because it was an emergency. The same with Candy. She will not bark unless I'm having a really bad panic attack, and because sometimes it overwhelms me, I can't make a sound. She will bark, and the grocery store, in the Myers store, the managers and everybody knows me, and so it's only happened once, and they came over, are you okay? Are you okay? We heard Candy barking, and I said I was having a panic attack. She was trying to get, so they went and got me something to drink, and I ate a little bit, and it ceased. But she knows she's not to bark in a public place, and that's the only time that she barked, and that's why I've had people say, "Oh, service dogs are not supposed to bark," but actually,
when they're alerting, they are.
But as I said, if you look at ADA law, they are allowed to bark. It just can't be, an aggressive bark.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have to
If
bark.
they cause a disturbance, then they can be you can be asked to leave. But
Right.
the dog can bark as a form of alerting, or
Right.
like in my case with the
Emergency.
epilepsy, laying across the top of me and then
Right.
barking his head off. Of course, the night he went to get my husband, he barked at my husband, and my husband was just like not, because he was
Right.
so deep asleep. It just wasn't
Right.
working. So,
But
but boy,
I
it
like,
worked with Stellarpiper.
yeah. But I just like how the behaviors explained it. It's called intelligent disobedience. It's like if you tell your 8-year-old, to never leave the house, but all of a sudden you're doing, you're like my son, he had diabetes and have low blood sugar. Then they go next door and pound on the door and say, "Hey, my dad's sick, call 911 or what." We tried to teach my granddaughter to call 911, and she said 991, and we said no. It's so we broke it down. We said 911, and she goes, "Okay, 911." I said, "Okay, now put it together, 99." So we just gave up on her calling that. But she
Right.
was allowed to go next door and say, "Hey, my dad's have, a low sugar." Now she would try to treat him, but if he was, kind of semi-conscious, he wasn't going to eat or drink for her. So, yeah. But yeah, so like I said, the behaviors calls that intelligent disobedience, when they do a behavior that they would normally not be allowed to do, and they do it because they're taking care of you. That, yeah.
It's also called intelligent refusal.
Oh yeah, okay. I've heard both ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
something Tomlin did, and it gave John my husband, some reassurance when we were traveling.
Right.
We went to a conference, and this dog about drove me crazy. We were at a conference, and I needed to cross the street. Tomlin blocked me because he was trained to do that in case my mind was blinking out. He was trained to block until things got better. So we go to the conference. I'm at the corner of the street. I just need to cross the street. That is all I need to do. So I get to the corner. I start to cross the street, and he blocked me because he perceived that it was dangerous. So I'm like, forward, and he's like looking at me going, "You've got to be kidding me." I'm like, safe, which was the other word, and he would not. I would move to try a little to try to get, like you take a step to the right or
Right.
take a step to the left. That
Right.
dog would not move until there were no cars coming, because he perceived it to be dangerous for me to cross the street because there were vehicles. And I was like, the walk sign, it's like, it's okay, I can do this.
Right.
So finally, no cars were coming, and he just got out of the blocking move and got right next to me, just like he was supposed to do, had it been, perceived to be safe for him. But it was that intelligent refusal, intelligent disobedience. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
of course,
But I
being
mean,
a husky mix, he had no problems being disobedient at times.
no, I know. But I'm just saying that takes a higher, um, I mean, they almost have to reason like a human, So
Right.
that's highly intelligent for them to do. Not all dogs can, they can't put A and B together and say, okay, that means I got to do level C. Yeah, they can't. And that's why it's important to, like I said, test the puppy out. If you're getting a puppy, and you don't have an organization to help you. But yeah.
Right.
But even when you're getting one, like I said, you still want to do your own evaluation.
You do.
I would also do a vet check with your new dog once you get home to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that kind of intelligent disobedience or intelligent refusal gave my husband a lot of reinsurance when I'm
Yeah.
out traveling or doing solo female
Right.
travel. That's what I did until Tomlin passed away in spring of 2020.
Yes.
But you'd mentioned the vet, and I think it's really important to have a good relationship with your vet
Exactly.
because it helps. Because with us, we could just make that phone call. And
Right.
when Tomlin started getting older, I started looking into agencies months before he passed away. And
Right.
we didn't have any warning that he was going to pass away
Yeah.
until like a month out that he was getting sick. And
Right.
then when he passed away, it was really sudden, like within 24, 36 hours, he was,
Yeah.
you knew it was coming. But as he got older, I was able to have conversations with the vet about, can my service dog still work? What I need is
Yes.
retrieval and for him to alert and to go get somebody. But
Yeah.
those were things that, you know, d- dogs, at least this one, you know, he would retrieve naturally because he would go get sticks and bring them to
Yeah.
me. And it was like, okay, it's playtime. He would go get his toys, he would bring it to me. So out of that, when I dropped my prescription bottles or whatever, he would go and bring it to me. When I was in
Right.
trouble, he would go get somebody else in the house. So those were like low impact things. And when he would get on my leg, that's a low impact thing. So he was able to work a lot longer
Right.
than some service dogs. But
Well,
being
and
able to
I.
talk to the vet and saying, can he
Yeah.
do this was huge.
Right. Well, and you brought up a good thing about how long can your dog be a service dog, and like you said, you have to have a good repertoire with your vet. Now, Candy's in excellent health, and the vet told me this was a couple of years ago. So I guess she was about 7 then. And I said, how long would it be to, I mean, can I have Candy be a service dog? They said the average Chihuahua lives about 18 to 22 years. Now, she had a good background and knowledgeable about service dogs. She said generally service dogs work for 75% of their life. So if you take a 10-year dog, they can work until they're about 7.5, 8, barring any health or physical injuries. Now with Candy, she can work until she's 15, but really, she said, don't say, okay, you're 15, you're going to retire now. She'll let me know because she'll show, like right now, she gets so excited. I mean, she just knows if I'm putting my purse on my scooter, if I grab her harness, I mean, she knows we're going to do something. Now,
Yep.
If she starts showing less interest, like if I'm getting on the scooter and said, come on, you want to go? And she just looks like, then you let her stay home. So I'll let
Well, they
her
learn
give
our
you.
behavior just like we learn theirs.
Right. So like I said, she'll retire when she knows that she can't do it. But the only thing is, my concern, and the vet said that is a real concern. And at that time, I think I'm going to end up having a couple friends come and play with her, and maybe even get another, not necessarily no service, but a little dog to be at home with her. So I'm taking the
Right.
new service dog out. She likes cats too, but I don't know if I want to mess with a cat. But
Yeah.
anyways, I was worried that if she stays home, will she have anxiety? And they said that's one of the big problems with service dogs when they do end up staying at home and all, and everybody's out of the house. They do can, they can't have panic attacks and that. So.
Right.
But then they can give them medicine. You can get those devices where you can talk to them and you can say like, "Hi,
Sure.
Candy, what do
Well,
you
you
have
don't
here?"
want your dog to have that much anxiety, though, because that's not conducive to, service dog helpfulness, basically.
Yeah.
And I want to toss out, we've got some people watching.
Oh,
So
good.
feel
Yeah.
free to jump in the chat. If
Yes.
you want to join us live, let me know. Dive into the chat and let me know. We'll get you that link so you
Right.
can come on up and join us. We're talking about travel with service dogs, but we can shift the subject so you can tell us about your channel or your experience. So we'll dive right in.
Yeah.
And don't forget to click like on the video. That's
Yeah.
so important. Click like or live stream, whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
Put up a video later or live stream now. Click like on it.
Yeah. So who's all on watching with on the video right now?
Well, I don't know. I just saw the number
Yeah.
go up to
That's
a
I
little
said.
bit there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, those behaviors with Tomlin really, really gave my husband a lot less anxiety.
Right.
Because he didn't worry about me as much. I've talked before on the show. I went from Virginia to Alaska with a service dog, and my husband was like, "So fine, sole female travel. She's great. She's got the dog." But I go to Kentucky after the dog passes away, and Kentucky for us is like 5 or 6 hours. So compared to some of the trips we've been on, it's
Right.
really short. But I had to go by myself. It was after Tomlin, my service dog, had passed away. Oh my stars. He was calling me to make sure I was okay. And
Yeah.
I had Google location set on my phone so he could follow me that way. And Android has a really neat feature where if you have a problem, you can preset a couple of people and it'll send them a GPS notification of where
Yeah.
you are, and it'll
Yeah.
send them a audio video recording, so they get like a 6-second clip. So I'm like, honey, you can follow me on Google Maps. You don't have to worry because I will send you an emergency notification, and it's really easy on this
Right.
phone to do
Yeah.
that. And he's like, well, I just want to call and make sure that you're okay.
I was gonna say
He
Lynn
didn't
is
do
on.
that to me going to Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Hey, we've got over 50 and
Yeah.
Fantabulous here.
Lynn.
Lynn
Yeah.
is in the chat. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn. How you
Thank
doing?
you. She's going to be multitasking, she says, but she'll keep this going. So definitely
Okay.
appreciate that. Lynn is a fabulous person with a
She is.
Fantabulous channel, and we really
Yeah.
appreciate you.
I do love her. I
I
watch
do
her.
too.
I watch her channel quite a bit.
She's amazing. Definitely a God-inspired woman. So,
Oh
as she
yeah.
says, beloveds, please share this broadcast showing our sister Gayle love and support. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yes.
It is. The more comments, likes, and shares that we have, the more it helps with
Yeah.
the YouTube algorithm, the more likely they are
Yeah.
to recommend it to other people. So, yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah. So now, how long is this going on?
She says, hello,
Like today?
sisters. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
Amen. So, what? I'm sorry. I was talking.
Oh, I just said, how long is the live stream going on?
I'm gonna do it until 10 p.m.
Okay.
I know that's super long, but I've had a couple of people ask
Yes.
for a very long live stream, and we did this last month the first time for a couple of hours when I talked about living with a adrenal gland issue. They first thought was a
And I
pheochromocytoma.
missed that one. That was the one I missed.
That's a really
Yeah.
long one, but I wanted to answer questions, and it's made a positive impact on people's lives.
Can I go back to watch that? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have.
Yeah.
Because I
All the live
missed that
streams
one.
are available or as videos later. Once in a great while, I'll have a live stream that's not available, but very, very rare.
Oh,
Very
okay.
rare.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, when you first got Candy, or when you first had her trained as a service dog and started training with her yourself,
Yeah.
what tipped you off that you needed a trained service dog instead of an ESA? Because I know
Well,
you
that's okay.
started out life as your ESA. So
Right.
what
Candy,
tipped you off?
Candy gave me the lead because, like I said, my friends and family noticed that she would nose bump me for whenever my legs were getting ready out, and they said, "You really need to pay attention to what she's doing." And then I talked to there was a lady that came to my husband's nursing home, and she had her service done. Now she got it through an organization, and so, but she's the one that told me that you could owner train because I
Yeah.
was gonna, like I said, I was gonna have this behaviorist, pay him to train her, but like I said, when I found out I could do it myself, then I like I said, between the animal behaviorists, the animal trainers, and then watching YouTube, and that's how I found out about you, Gail. That when you used to have all that, you used to do a lot of videos about
Yeah, I used to
certain
do it
animals.
every Friday.
And I'll tell you that my favorite part, and I know you're probably gonna laugh, was when you had the comments of what Tomlin was saying. Like you would say, like, "Oh, Tomlin loves to do such and such," and you're like, "What? Really?" Like maybe you say like he likes to stay up late at night, and you're going, "Really?" And you just had cute, funny things, and I can just picture him thinking or saying that. Yeah,
Yes, I tried very much to keep that in his
yeah,
personality, and he absolutely, yeah,
yeah.
I could see him thinking those things too.
Now, are you gonna do this with your new service dog?
Probably. It kind of depends on his personality. With
Yeah,
Tomlin, he was so very expressive
right.
that it was easy to do. So we'll see if this
Yeah,
one's expressive. Probably, but we'll see. But
okay.
I'm like a year away from getting
Yeah.
another service dog. So
Well, and I know you're not gonna want to do it right away till you guys build that bond. But I mean, will you be having the dog on periodically and letting us see what he's learning to do and stuff?
yes,
Okay,
although
that
the dog won't be learning to do that much because he's already trained. The first one with Tomlin, uh, I did the combination of owner training plus working with the trainers.
right,
But um, yeah, I'm a
right. But
year
even though
away.
he's already
I'm getting
trained,
an agency trained dog, so
right? But even though he's trained, he still got to get used to, your uh, personality and all that. Yeah, I mean
yeah.
that's something you can't train. You gotta build that bond. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to
and
pull up a little video so people can tell you what we're kind of talking about here.
okay,
On this one, we're at Glacier National Park, and the bus driver let him stay right by the door looking out of it because it was easy to do, and I wasn't feeling
right,
that great. So Tomlin took over, and Hubby
yeah,
was saying, "So I'm in charge. Yay."
yeah,
And on this one, this clip, he's just laying there in the van, and he did not want to get out of the van and lay in the floor next to me because he was really happy. So I was like, "Come on, get up!" And he's like, "No, maybe when the sun comes up."
yeah. That's what I like. Those are the things. Yeah, and then look
Yeah,
how his mouth is open. It looks like he's smiling about it. Yeah.
yeah. So we tried to, like here he is, kind of blinking his eyes at me, and yeah, just putting in his little personality there. These are just random clips.
Yeah.
And he loved the window seat again. He
Right.
loved the window seat all the time. but he wasn't supposed to be up there when we were not in the van. So here's my friend getting in the van, and she had several things to put in. So he's like, I'm going to go help. So those are the little things. So probably if the other dog is as expressive as this one,
Right.
but like I said, I'm a year out. This time, instead of the trained and owner trained, I'm going with Cares, which is an agency. So
Yeah. But like I said, you have to get used to the dog too, because I know I had a friend that did a board and train, so they she had to go. I forget I think once every 8 weeks, she had to take the dog, which is close by, maybe 15 miles away.
yeah.
She would take the dog there, and the dog would stay there 2 weeks, so she would be without the dog, and then come back. They did that. I think they did that like 4 times. So
Yeah, that seems to be an emerging trend, because it is such a long process to get a service dog. I've been at this process for a year. There's a 2-year wait. Some agencies, because of what we've been going through this past year
Right.
with COVID, some agencies are actually taking a longer time, because one of the things that you have to do as you're training a service dog, whether it's owner trained or coming from an agency, is that service dog has to be able to go out places and be taught to behave. So that means places like Walmart, grocery stores, restaurants, all those great places that aren't open now all the time. So yeah. Over 50 and Fantabulous says Sister Gayle is raising funds to get a new service dog, which is extremely important. Every share and like is important, beloveds. Thank you for caring. Thank you for saying that, over 50. I appreciate that. And says thank you all for showing love and support. And again, Liz is amazing. Mel Mel is saying that he's still in the chat. He's editing a video and says, if you need me to come up, I can. Mel, if you would like to, I'll be glad. I'll go ahead and send you the invite.
Yes.
And so give me just a minute to do that. And then if you would like to come up, you may do so. Glad to have you.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to step out for a while, but I'll come back on later. I need to go have a little snack with my medicine and do a couple things with kids. Yeah, because this is the time I usually do a few little activities with her. So I'll be back. Let's see, it's 2:00 my time. What time is it where you're at, Gayle?
We're in the same time zone.
Oh, so it's 2:11. I'll be back about 3:30 or 4:00.
Okay.
All right. See you then.
We will see you.
But I'll still be watching. I just won't be doing a lot of text. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Thank you for hanging out tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the premiere. Make sure you give us a big thumbs up on it. Now, our next premiere is going to be the part of the live stream with Mel Mel. So again, we're going to be hanging out so we can answer your questions. As always, we are about hashtag Be Bodacious, which means we're not going to let life get in the way of living. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I'll see you on the next one.